Hi, this is Isabel. So, quick podcast today about, or actually following an article I read about potential. So, I wanted to give you 3 tips today on how to grow your potential, which is really key to this channel, developing your skills, growing your potential in Switzerland mainly, but also you can take it a little bit further than this. It's more about growing your potential long term, so that you can be successful in whichever country you end up in your career. So the number one thing, the first tip about potential is to understand that it's different from skills. So the main difference is that a skill is something that you've acquired maybe because you've trained in it. So let's say you've done a lot of MS Office, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, you can do it backward and forward. You're very good. Maybe you're an admin assistant or executive assistant, or let's say you're very good in marketing, you've done the courses online and you're a digital marketer, let's say. That's your skill. Now, potential is what you could become. It's what you could do if you had the time, money, efforts, everything, what you could be really long term, maybe. So this is where a lot of people have difficulty because sometimes it's a little bit overwhelming. So we tend to stay in our comfort zone and, really be happy with our skills basically. And the thing is, usually with most companies, they will look at skills. In resumes, mostly, they will say, okay, these are the skills, etc. And in a way, it's not really their job to figure out what your potential is. This is something that you won't know based on a resume. You would have to really spend some time with this person. I know some companies do assessments. They work with headhunters to try to find this potential in the person, to try to find how they act, for example, under stress, how they act if they have maybe an interview with different people. So they do all kinds of assessments to figure out really your potential, especially if you're going to be a manager or an executive. A company doesn't really want to know just your skills. They want to know what potential you have so that they know how to grow your career, how to help you grow within the company. So potential is definitely something that's important. However, I still think the responsibility is mostly in the employee's hands or in your hands to figure out what your potential is, to figure out what career is the right one for you. So I will post below. There's some websites where you can assess your potential basically, or what career areas you'd be great in, for example, and then take that with job boards in Switzerland. And once you know what career options are out there, so for example finance or marketing, and then go on to the Swiss, because I don't have the equivalent Swiss website to the American one that I will post. So you can go on job boards basically and say, okay, I would be great in finance or marketing. What are some of the jobs in there? And see, if you don't have the skills right now, but it's something that you have potential in, then now the responsibility is yours to now get the skills that goes with the potential. So I think a lot of people waste time training themselves in something that's not their potential. And it's a problem because you end up with the wrong career path, then you end up in the wrong jobs, and we know how that goes. So I would say, especially if you're beginning your career right now, you're more a student or really at the beginning part of your career, really spend some time. My recommendation as a more senior person would be spend some time to find out what is your potential. I know when I was young, I started my career in public relations. I had a great thing for connecting with people and really making sure that advertisement and marketing and talking to individuals, etc. And then based out of comfort zone, I chose some jobs that were a little bit different when I started my career. And then I ended up, as you know, doing career in human resources. But I think it's really important, again, when you're starting, to spend this time, to really assess what are some of the careers that are out there, what do I really want? And really spend some time, because there's not a lot of movement later on in life, or not a lot of space to change, especially if you're going to stay the employee route. So if you go entrepreneur route, you can always do a little bit as you wish. But if you're going for really getting hired by companies, then it's a little bit more firmed up, meaning that companies will always have a checklist. So as far as I know, it's not changing very fast. Maybe in the next generation, I'm not sure, but as of right now, it's still very much a checklist, which is called a job description. And if you don't fit, unfortunately, there's not much you can do. So really assess from a young age what it is that you like, what are some of the career path that would be great for you. Then worry about getting the skills that match your potential so that you can be recognized and recruited by the biggest companies, and then they can grow you even more from within, and you can really have your career there. So that's number one. So number two, which is really the second part of this thing of potential, is really to develop your skills once you know your potential. So if you know that you're great in finance, that's your hack, that's your thing, this is what you're meant to do, then it's your responsibility also to take the courses, to invest in yourself so that you can be this person that employers want to hire. So especially because, again, there's this checklist. If you don't have all the right parts on the job description, unfortunately, employers will not hire you. So, again, if you're looking at big companies, in countries where there's a lot of competition, unfortunately, you need to have this checklist all together. Now, if you don't have the training or the skills, but you have the potential, there's always different roads that lead to the same destination. So I do remember meeting executives that didn't do the right schools and didn't have the proper training, but they were very good. They had a potential in the field they were in, and they grew from within anyways, and they were recognized anyway. So there are different paths to go to the same destination, but just know that it's going to be a little bit more complicated, because someone who has done the right school and has the right training will have an easier time to get into the companies than someone who's just maybe a self-made person, or someone who's trained in a different way, maybe taking courses that are not as recognized, etc. So you just need to know that the path is going to be a little bit different. So again, there's no right or wrong. So you have to remember this as well. There's no mistakes really you can make, but there's just easier routes and harder routes. So if the earlier you know exactly what your potential is, the earlier you do the right training that goes with it, then the easier it will be for you to get into the right companies, be recognized and promoted, etc., etc. So that's just something you need to know. And the third thing about potential is that now people who really show as the go-to people and that are really recognized, because there's a lot of competition out there for similar jobs, they're the people who are disruptive. They're the people who are different, who tend to not be afraid to be different. So if now you're thinking, okay, and it happens to me every day, I meet people who go for the same fields and the same jobs, and you're 20 or dozens for the same openings. There's really some fields in Switzerland that are really, really packed, like marketing and communications is a good example. Then people say, well, I want to get a job there. The best advice I could give is just be different. There is always room for someone who's a great marketer or someone who's a great communication specialist. But because there's so many people doing the same thing as you, you just have to be extraordinary. You just have to be better than anyone else. So if that's your choice, go to the best trainings. I tell people when they ask me, this is the training to do, for this field. So invest in the right training, invest in connecting with the right people. That also takes some effort, because you have to go to the networking events, most of which cost money. If you go to the best schools or the best training institutes, that costs also a little bit of money. So there's a cost. There's the tagline that goes with, being the best and being out there. So you just have to know that, if you're going to be this person that has potential, it's one thing, but to find the job that goes with your potential, it's going to be your responsibility. So really, to conclude with this video, is that it's your responsibility all the way. It's your responsibility to find your potential. So there's a lot of tools that I share in this video that you can do some research and find out what this is. It's your responsibility to develop this potential, to make it shine, to make it known. And it's your responsibility to invest in yourself. So no one ever is going to come and see you and say, oh, I see this potential in you, and there's this job, this great job that people are waiting for you to come and fill. It doesn't work like this. It's up to you to show that you're this person that deserves the position. So you need to come and get the position, basically. No one is going to offer you a job. So when people say in this channel, help me, I want to find a job, I want a job, no one is going to offer you a job. So the other way to look at it is more where I am sitting right now. What could I do to make myself this great person that someone would want to have in their company? What can I develop? What can I do better? How can I participate, in the world to show that I'm this great individual? So become a great person, become this go-to person, this skilled person, this knowledgeable person. And then you won't have to look for a job, because then you will be recognized. People will come to you. They will ask you to join them in their companies. They will provide you with opportunities. And I rather use the word opportunity than a job, because I think the job market is changing. So we will see more short-term assignments, consulting, temporary, maybe internships, volunteering, especially if you're younger. So you have to look at all opportunities and just see what you can do with them. But really, I want you to really think about this, about potential, what your responsibility is, and to quit thinking about, getting a job, because a job is not something that's people are entitled to. And especially in the future, as things are more and more automated, and there will be even more run for the same jobs, everyone will go for similar positions, and there will be, it will be also highly competitive, and it is already now. So you can't just expect that people will provide you with a job or an opportunity. You have to actually know yourself very well, know what you're good at, be sure of what you could do, and then you will find opportunities will come up naturally, I would say, whether it's in Switzerland or somewhere else. So that's the last part of this video, is really to think about what you know very well, what you're very good at, and then things will work very smooth. So feel free to check the links below. Feel free to check my online webinar. It's free. It gives you also some tactics to find a job in Switzerland. And also I have a new store. It's called the Isabel Shop. So feel free to look on there. There's some books about Switzerland. Knowing the market is a big part of growing your potential as well. So I hope this was helpful. I'll talk to you soon.